Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second series of our Smart Cities Hackathon. Today, we're going to talk about how you can build mobile and progressive web applications using a low-code tool. So in this tool, we're going to start using Oracle Visual Builder. So let me start by introducing you to Oracle Visual Builder. Oracle Visual Builder is a PaaS offering which allows organizations to rapidly build and run web and mobile applications on the cloud with a visual development experience, thereby allowing you to build both simple and complex applications with easy drag and drop approach. Once you have provisioned an instance, the only other software you need is your browser, and Visual Builder can work with any modern browser. However, I would like to recommend to you using Chrome, as it provides useful tools to help you debug. Now, Visual Builder is built with a cloud-native architecture and a browser-based, it's basically a browser-based platform. Easy to use as focus on simplification through visual and declarative development approach, which results in higher productivity with features like a visual page layout, visual page flow diagram, visual action flow definitions, visual REST connections, visual business objects creation, visual business object logic, and the code is always accessible. It also provides built-in access Oracle cloud application data and processes via service catalog, and it allows you to enrich applications with engaging customer interfaces. And finally, an extendable platform through standards like JavaScript, HTML5, CSS, and REST. Now, Visual Builder, accompanied with Visual Studio, allows you to rapidly create and extend enterprise applications using a visual development approach with integrated agile collaborative development, version control, and continuous delivery automation. Visual Studio is an agile-driven team development platform with complete CI/CD chain pipelines. Here is an overview of Visual Builder high-level architecture. So as you can see, it comes up with your development environment, your build environment. It provides all the typical capabilities around managing your development, like tasks, agile development, wikis, Git repository. It provides the continuous integration and continuous deployment pipeline capabilities, and also help you to with your code reviews with your peers. Besides those, it has ability to actually host your application. So it comes with the runtime. It has a concept of business objects, basically the ability for you to store data into business objects and underlying database. There's an internal database, which comes with VBCS itself, but also you can extend the database to connect to our autonomous database, like ATP, for example. From there, you can actually go and create REST services to external sources or to other data sources. And from there, it connects, to your user experience through a browser or even a mobile device. This mobile device can be mobile responsive, but also be native mobile application. Now let's take a look at some of the other integrations that we have. So we can actually develop web and mobile applications using Visual Builder, which leverages HTML5, CSS, and JavaScript technology. And it comes with a built-in database. And we can actually go and extend it to make use of our integration cloud service, which allows us to integrate with third-party applications, but also with Oracle SaaS applications and other integrations that you might want to do. It provides the ability to use business processes and allows you to do process automation. There are a lot of adapters and business accelerators that you can use with our integration cloud service. And there's also ML and recommendations availability functionality within, our database. Further, on security and business insights and performance, we can connect to our identity management system. Now, if you would combine your VBCS or your Visual Builder with an ATP database, you can actually replace the tenant database, which has a 5 gigabyte limitation, and basically replace that with our autonomous transaction processing database or a database cloud service instance to get more storage space for your data. And you can basically also expose those the data that you have within the ATP database through ORDS or Oracle REST Data Service, and make use of custom schemas or procedures that you might want to run into your database and access it into your app. Yeah. Now, let's take a look at how we can actually go and build an application in Visual Builder. So for this, right, I will take actually 4-step approach. So the first step is actually, to build your data schema or data base where you would like to store data or retrieve data from. I'm going to show you how you can actually build a business object type of database. And then from there, I will also show you how we can connect to external REST data services, right? Then the second step is, once we have our data sources in place and the connections to our REST services, we can actually start creating a mobile application. So I'm going to build a kind of like a small example where we have a list of employees, and this list of employees will be actually featured within the mobile application, and you can go and update the information of this particular employee in your organization. Now, once we have created that application, what we're going to do is to enable that as a progressive web app. So we can show you on how you can actually use one code base to actually deploy this application to any web-enabled device, like a web browser on your desktop or your tablet, or even on your Android or iOS device, where you can actually use a progressive web app and simulate it as a native app into your devices. I will also show you how you can then configure different profiles to build native applications on Android and for iOS as well. Now, once we have done that and configure all that, then we can actually go and publish and distribute that by simply publishing it. And for the progressive web app, you will be able to scan the QR code to access the application, which then you can actually store and save as a progressive web app into your mobile device. Yeah, so that's on Android and also on iOS. But also, I'm gonna just show you, what are the configurations that is needed to build a profile for Android and iOS, and eventually that will be able to show you on how it can produce an IPK file or an IPA file for the respective platforms. Yes, so if you're ready, let's go and show you how we can build this application. Okay, let's take a look into how we can actually start building a mobile application. All right. So as you can see here, we have our Visual Builder login screen, where I will log into Visual Builder. And once you actually log into Visual Builder, you can see all your different applications that are there. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create a new application for this particular session. I'm going to call it Hackathon demo. Right. Here you can actually change the different templates. There are various templates available, but the template I'm going to use is an empty application template. I click on Finish. So what it actually does, it will create a Visual Builder, in Visual Builder context, a Visual Builder workspace for you. Now, as you can see here, this is the Hackathon demo workspace. And I can go and start creating mobile applications from here. We also, can start building web applications, connect to external services through to this particular services catalog that you can set up also external services. I'm going to show you about that a bit later. We have the built-in database, which is built with its business objects. Then we have a component library where we can browse specific components that are released by our engineering team. Those are custom components besides the components that are already built into the system, right? We can connect to business processes, right, which is our integration cloud, and we can, see the source of the code that this Visual Builder is constructing for us. Now, to start off, what we're going to do is build a business object. Now, we can manually build a business object by basically creating a new business object here. So I'm just going to call it test, for example. I create, and now from this business object, right, I can specify the different fields that I need, right? I can create, type string fields, number fields, and I can specify the field names in here. Now, what we're gonna do here is gonna kind of like taking a shortcut. So I'm gonna make use of a spreadsheet. And I'm going to upload the spreadsheet and which has the data and also the different columns for my table. So in order to do that, I'm just going to go here and go to Data Manager. And in Data Manager, I can actually specify select import a business object. Right now, I click on import a business object. I'm going to select a spreadsheet that I've prepared earlier. So I have this sample spreadsheet here that has basically three tables, and it has a location table, department table, and an employees table with employee details in there. So I'm going to select that, and Visual Builder UI will actually inspect that Excel file and will actually detect what are the different potential business objects that are within that Excel sheet and how many different records there are there. Now you can see here it has found like a location business object, department, and a potential employee business object. I click on next, and here I can actually specify the names, the label after import, and the new object names, right? So these are the three tabs within my Excel sheet. Now I click on next, and here I can actually specify, I can actually go and look into all the different columns that are basically detected from that Excel sheet. Now what I want to do, I want to take this opportunity to also make some of the table references. Yeah, so for example, a location, right? That has a relationship with department. So if I look at the department has a location. Now this is still from the type number or integer. So I'm going to change this into a reference data type, and I'm going to link this to the location business object where I want to use the level to display into my business object. So I click on here. Now the other thing I want to do is to make a relationship with employee and its department. So I'm doing the same thing here. I create a reference employee, and I would like to link it to the department, and I want to feature the department name. Yeah, so I click. So now I've made the relationships, and I can actually go and check the different details. But I click on finish, and what Visual Builder will do will actually create the tables or create those business objects with the different fields, and also import the data that I have in my Excel sheet. So it has imported successfully. Now I can close it, and let me take a look at the user interface. So we can see here that it has created 3 business objects: 1 department, employee, and location. Now I can actually go and check the So let me just create a new diagram for this particular demo. And within this diagram, I'm going to see what are the relationships between those three tables, right? The test has no relationship. So we have employee as a one-to-many relationship to department and one-to-many relationship to, location. So now I have my data objects, right? So this is the data source that I can then use to showcase the data into my UI. Now, before I do that, let me just go back into the employee table and let's take a look at the data, right? So we have the various data, and here we can see the reference to the department and the data that is in the database table. So the other thing I want to show is like, how can we connect to an external service? So let's say that your data source is an external service. Now I have a a public endpoint that I'm going to use. So I'm just connecting to a public REST service that gives me all the country details in the world. So I just click on plus here and I click on service connection. I can either select from a catalog that is connecting to our Oracle applications. I can define by specification, or I can just define by endpoint. In my case, I'm just going to have a single endpoint that gives me the details. So I have like REST countries that the EU, REST version 2 alpha. So based on the alphanumeric code, like for example, for Singapore, we have SG, I can get data from there, right? So in a way, it's just get one, right? So I click on next. Now what I can do here, I can now test my endpoint, right? So I can see here, this is the path. I can specify a value. So let's specify the value for Singapore, for example. I can go and send this request, and I can see that there is a response. So you can see I get Singapore and all the details from Singapore, and I can save this example so that Visual Builder knows how the payload looks like, and I can click on create. So this is very easy and very simple now how you can connect to external data sources. And this particular data source will then be available as a REST endpoint into your application that you can use. Now, the next step is to start building your application, right? So let's go and create a mobile application. I'm calling it the Hackathon app. Yeah. I might not need like 3 navigation items, but let me just choose vertical, and I'm just going to call this the directory, right? Employee directory. This is the only thing I want to have. I can remove maybe the 2 other pages in my navigation. And I click on next. So the view that I want is just I will like to have a custom view I create. So what happens now, Visual Builder will create the framework for you, right? And here we can actually go into the application flow, where we have the directory start menu, which gives you, the basic function of the application, right? At this moment, the application is still empty because we haven't built anything yet. Now we can now start building. So let me put in like, let me just change the title first. So I have a page title. I can change it to employee directory, right? And from here, I can then maybe list all the different employees that I have in my database into a list. So I can go into looking for a list component, so a list view. I drag and drop it. And here, what we notice is that Visual Builder now allows you to add data to this particular list. So I click on add data, and the data is actually coming from my employee table. Yeah, that I just created. Okay, next. And here is like, the default templates, right? So we have a list in item template, but I will just choose, this particular template here. and I click on next. Now what you can do is basically drop the fields here. Let me just take the other one. This has like some default slots here, right? So I've got the leading slot, which looks like there. The leading slot, we might want to maybe put the image, right? So we have a picture where we can put another picture maybe in the leading slot, which is type image. Then the overline slot, we might skip that. The default slot could be the name of the person. Then we can have maybe a secondary slot, the email address, and a tertiary slot here. We can maybe position the let me see, maybe the department. Yeah. So for the department, we can actually go take this department item here, the name of the department here. Right. So we have the department, a picture, name, and email. Then we can click on next. We can define some filters and queries in here, but in this case, we don't need that. And I'll just finish. And what happens, it will basically get the data right from the database and position it here into your application. And this is basically getting it into your screen, and to make it interactive, right? So the next thing we might want to do is maybe have an edit page. I want to be able to change the values of this. Now, as you can see here, as I've selected the list view and the quick start, I can actually go and specify an edit page. Now I click on this, and for edit page, I would like to update the employee table, right? And I'll update the employee table as well. And what are the different fields that I would like to be able to modify? Yeah, maybe I want to be able to modify the name. I want to be able to modify email, the hire date, maybe the department, and the country and salary, right? I click on finish. Yeah, here's the labels for the edit page. So what Visual Builder do for you is actually creating an edit page for you. And it will open it up. And here is the application. So if I would switch into a live mode here, I can actually go and move and click on edit, and it will take me to the edit page. Okay. So now I can actually go and make the changes here in the edit page. Maybe the country would be Singapore for Sean. Salary will still remain the same. I click on save, and it will actually store the changes here. And we can see, it's not really visible here, but maybe we can give Sean a different department. So let me just, so that we can see, it actually updates it into the backend. So the department, I would say, or put him into the new department marketing. You can save the changes. Yeah, and you can see here, Sean has been added to the marketing. So in a way, you can already this is kind of like already a small application that you can already start building and publishing. Now, how do we go about changing it into a progressive web app, right? So we want to make sure that we can test it in a mobile device. Now we can run the preview here, or what we actually need to do is we need to go to the application and change its settings, right? So we go to the application node, we go to the settings, and here we can actually specify progressive web app. Now, the only thing that you need to do is to click on enable, and all the default setting will actually already enable this application to be a progressive web application. You can see here all the different caching structures, etc. All the different attributes that's required for progressive web app. Now, what I can do here, I can click on preview. I can preview the application again. Yeah. This is the application. And now what I can do, I can build my application by staging it. Oh, I've created a clean database, but what I want to do is actually rebuild it with staging database. So with staging data, stage the application, and with development data so that we can test it, stage. So now if you would scan this QR code and run it into your mobile phone, you will be prompted probably for a login. So in that case, let me just change it that it allows you to actually open it up into your device. So in that case, what I need to do is to change some of the security settings. So I'll just change the setting to allow anonymous access, but I also have to change the settings on the business objects to allow anonymous access as well. So in order to do that, I just go to my employee data, employee table. I will go to the security, and I enable role-based access for anonymous users as well, that they are allowed to actually write into that table, right? So there's like no control on how you provide access to the table. So now I've probably have set it up properly, so I can preview again. And once I preview it, I can then rebuild the application to apply the new settings. So I'm going to rebuild the application. I will keep the accessing data in stage, and I will close it. And now if you now would scan this QR code in your phone, it will be redirected to this application, and you can actually start using the application itself. Yeah, so this is like, very fast how you can actually build an application from scratch using Visual Builder to a progressive web application. Now, as we mentioned, we can also do native devices. So what you need to do here is actually go back to your application settings, go to your build configuration, and here you can actually specify build configurations for Android, right? So here, what is the configuration name? You need to upload a key store file, key store password, and a key alias, and a password, right? And once you have saved this configuration, then you can actually go and build the APK file for Android. And the same thing here for iOS. You specify the certificate password, provisioning file, staging identity, signing identity, and you save this configuration. And then from there, you can actually go and generate IPA files, right? So those IPA and APK files can then be downloaded from your preview, and then you can use your regular process to deploy it on the respective stores. Yeah, so that's kind of like in a nutshell how you can actually start building applications or mobile applications using Visual Builder. Okay. Now we have seen on how we can actually start, build an application. Yeah, we have seen a mobile device. This mobile or mobile application can be, published as a progressive web app, right? And also be able to configure iOS or Android profiles to create the respective IPA and APK files. Now, you have seen that. Now, let me introduce you then to Live Labs, right? And Live Lab is our digital self-service hands-on lab platform. It has a lot of free development labs and instructions on how you can actually develop with Oracle. Now, in this particular Live Lab, we have picked one Live Lab that allows you to actually start building an application. So if you, in the latest slide, I will show you how you actually can go to that specific lab that we have selected for this. But you can always go back to Go Live Labs and explore Live Labs. What other exercises or hands-on labs we provide here for free for you to get familiar with more Oracle products. Now, for the instructions for the live lab, we have here a bit.ly link, right, which will take you to this live lab that is called Create and Publish a Mobile Web Application in Visual Builder. Well, the different topics in there is basically you're going to create a mobile application. We give you all the different steps in there. And you will create pages for a business object. You will add data. You will add pages for data manipulation. You will configure a mobile app to run as a progressive web app, which I've shown in the demo. And also you will be able to build an APK file for your Android for your Android device. And they have given some instructions as well on how you can deploy or build an IPA file for your iOS. However, for the iOS part, you will need a certificate for a developer certificate for iOS in order for you to do the build. Now, once you have built your mobile application, they will show you what the different steps are there and how you can actually go and publish your mobile application. So follow this bit.ly link, and once you click on the bit.ly link, it will basically, and you have actually logged into our Live Labs portal. You will land here on this particular landing page where you can launch the Always Free workshop. And when you click on Launch Always Free workshop, you have all the different details to actually execute this workshop. It's like about 80 minutes. And if you want to open up the instructions in the full screen, there's a link on top to open up the workshop instructions in the new tab. Yeah. Now the tutorials. Now other tutorials that are very useful for you is docs.oracle.com, EN Cloud Pass App Builder Cloud Index. So that is giving you direct access to the tutorials for Visual Builder. Also, very interesting to know is the Visual Builder Cookbook, which gives you a lot of information on how you can use all these built-in components and how you can create certain certain design concepts like master detail page or a view that gives you the ability to change data immediately from a table, for example. Yeah. And if you want to have some online help or community, you can connect to our cloud customer connect.oracle.com. There's the third URL there on the screen. It will take you to our community where you can actually post questions about Visual Builder or even also Visual Studio. Now, other videos that are interesting, go to YouTube, click on the or search for Visual Builder Studio video list, and you will find a lot of examples and recordings on how you can potentially build functionality with Visual Builder into your application. Now, what I want to wish you, thank you for attending to this short session, and success with all the best with your hackathon project. Thank you and have a good day.